Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another video. Today's video is based on a card that I posted last week for the Ellen Hudson blog hop for the release of their new stamps and dies. This one used the Cozy Christmas stamp set. You can see it right here. And then there's also some matching dies, some homes, some trees, and stuff that you can use a lot, not just for Christmas. And then I also used the Avery Elle Custom Panels die set. So the first thing I decided to do was stamp these homes in Memento Luxe Rosebud ink. There's two ways you could do this. You can first stamp it with the stamps in the stamp set and then cover it up with the die, run it through the Sizzix, and then of course there's holes in the back that you can use your paper piercer to poke, and the paper will come right out. So you can see how you can do it that way. Another way to do it is to just go ahead and cut your house first out of white cardstock, and this is Neenah Solar White, by the way. And then after you do that, you can take a sponge dauber and you can ink it up. And I fast forwarded it here, but it does take quite a bit more time to do it this way, and your fingers get a little bit more dirty. So anyway, I decided that it was easier to just go ahead and stamp them all. So I stamped a couple in Lemongrass Avery Elle and also some in Aquamarine Avery Elle ink also. This is all pigment ink. But you can use pretty much any ink. Now for the ones, there are a couple that I kind of die cut a little bit off, and so what I did was I just took my sponge dauber and I just touched it up with the ink. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is cut some pieces for behind the house, and that's how I'm going to get the light glow. And I want this piece of paper to be just big enough to cover the windows, but I don't want it to come out the edge or anything like that. So it needs to be a pretty exact size here. So I'm going to cut one piece of paper for each of these houses. And then as you see, I've got them arranged in 3 at the top and then 2 underneath so that I can organize them and make sure I got the right piece of paper behind the right house. And I'm going to adhere them to a piece of scratch paper and ink them up with some neon, Radiant Neon Electric Yellow. And this is pigment ink, so I'm going to go ahead and clear emboss that, and that'll make the light shiny in the back, so when I heat it up you can see how shiny it gets. Alright, now I'm going to adhere those to the back, so I'm just going to peel them off my scratch sheet, and I'm going to take some Tombow Mono Multi Glue and just put it where the yellow piece is going to go. And then I'm just going to place it on there, and I'll use my paper piercer to just move it around a little bit. You want to make sure that the bottom is exactly level. So I'm going to do that with all of them. And now I'm going to work on the background. I'm just using one of these dies here from the Avery Elle set and my magnetic platform. Just get it lined up the way I want it and then run it through the Sizzix. And you'll see it'll cut this is a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel, and it'll cut it exactly all the way across. So I'm going to measure about 1/8 of an inch off my top panel, and I'm going to trim that off, and that'll give me a gap in between the two pieces when I adhere it to my card base. The next step is to take your houses, and I also use the star, and I'm using my magnetic platform so that I can easily put these into place and they'll stay there. So I'm just kind of figuring out where I want my background homes to go. I'm going to alternate colored with background, so as you can see I'm sort of figuring out where I need to put those holes. I'm going to do 2 at the top and 1 at the bottom. And once I get those all arranged, I'll run it through, and you can see when it's done I'll have holes where the background homes are going to be. Now I also cut a piece for the star, and I did that same exact technique where I just adhered it to a piece of scratch paper, and I inked it up with my Electric Yellow by Sukaniko and pigment ink, so clear embossed and heat set to make it nice and shiny, and that'll go behind, and I'll adhere that in a little bit. So I also wanted a couple of stars on top, so I'm going to arrange them the way I want them, and then I'll take my block so that I know that it's exactly where I want them, and I'll stamp them both at the same time. And then again I'll make this clear embossed so that when I do the background and I apply my ink, the ink will be resisted. This is Fluff. It's a background stamp by Impression Obsession, and I'm inking it up with some Versamark ink, and again clear embossing. and I'm going to do a little resist with some Distress ink. So I'm going to heat that to set it. And I thought this stamp looked a little bit like snow, so that's why I used it. Alright, so this is some Soft Pool Hero Arts Shadow Ink. And yes, you can apply ink this way with these little tiny ink blocks. It works just fine. It may take a little bit longer because you're not getting as much ink, but I found that it worked just great. So I'm adhering it with my ink foam applicator, and it'll be resisted by the snow. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that yellow piece on there behind the star, just like I did with the homes, with some Tombow Mono Multi-Glue. And next I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I always like to use the VersaFine Black Onyx ink with the clear stamps. It's a pigment ink, so you could clear emboss this too. I just didn't do it. Then this is Memento Luxe Rosebud, which matches the pink homes. This is a Versamarker. It's like Versamark ink in a marker form, and I'm just going to kind of draw the edges here, and then I'm going to cover it with snow, or sparkling snow I think it's called. It's Wow embossing powder that has glitter in it, so it just gives a kind of a subtle shine. You really kind of have to look closely to see it. It's just a nice little detail. Now this is my card base. It's an A2 size, and I'm going to go ahead and figure out where I'm going to need to color in the back. So I'm going to move my top piece up a little bit and mark that with a pencil. Then I'll move my bottom piece down a little bit and mark that with a pencil, and that'll make sure that I get all the areas covered with the ink. I'm using, sorry, I took the top off really quick there. It's Hero Arts Soft Granite Shadow Ink. This ink is a little harder to apply with an ink applicator, but the results are really great because even though you have blocks, you can see I've got some colored blocks there, it all blends together in the end, so you don't have to worry too much about doing a lot of different layers. So once I've got my area covered, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card base. So I'm just going to use some tape runner for the top piece. And then for my bottom panel, I'm going to use some foam adhesive. Now it's time to arrange, and for those of you who watch my videos a lot, you know I kind of enter analysis paralysis when I have to figure something out like this, so I just cut that whole part out. And what I'm going to do is the ones that are behind the hill are going to lay flat against the background, and so I'm going to glue those down with the Tombow glue. And the ones that are in the front, I'm going to put a foam adhesive at the top and then a little bit of glue at the bottom, because the bottom is going to be hitting the hill and the back is going to be, the top is going to be kind of popped up a little bit on the background. So I've got 3 background homes that I've already glued down, and now I'm just doing the 2 that are in the front. And that's it. So it wasn't too hard to do, and it looks really cute, I think. And I really like this new stamp set by Ellen Hudson. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.